chit chat. We like to just, it's less instructional, Sandy, and more just anybody could chime in at any time that they want to. Well, assuming another person has finished speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just kind
Uh,
of guide the lesson, you know.
But I'm laying it down and go fix me a Pepsi since I gave you one and I need to fix me one, John.
Thank you
Yeah.
for
Okay.
the Pepsi, Sandy.
They're underneath my bed. If you can get my bed moved, we can get
That's where
more out.
your stash is. Okay, now you
That's
told me.
okay. The stash of Pepsi, like 48 of them are underneath the bed. Okay. Along with ginger ale. Just in case there's 14, no, 12 cans of ginger ale underneath my bed too.
Mhm.
Well, where else am I going to put it? You know.
It's a pretty good
Uh,
spot. I do the top of my refrigerator with my
just
sodas.
so just so y'all know, we have gone live and
All
started
right.
recording to Facebook.
All right,
okay.
fantastic. John, did you want to start it off?
Yeah, I'll start it off. So today's topic is handling emotions, and we want to discuss the thoughts that trigger those emotions, what you can do in the moment to try and alleviate your emotions and what you may be feeling. Say someone comes up at you and they get up in your face and you're feeling a certain way. Um, that's good information that you're feeling that way, and there's nothing wrong with those emotions. Your emotions are there to keep you alive, fed, protected. That's how our DNA includes the psychology of emotions. We have it for a reason. So, and on that note, we all have different genetics and different psychology, and so we process emotions differently. Some people claim to feel no emotions at all. They claim that. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, you know, in preparing for today, I talked to quite a few people trying to get their input on how they deal with emotions. It seems like the one of the main thing is pause and think about what you're saying. You know, if you're in one of those moments where you're talking about sort of a confrontation with people, this is more in the line of an angry situation or a confrontation. Hopefully you don't run into those because they are difficult for us to navigate as humans. You know, other part of it with in regard to emotion is identifying what emotion you're feeling. You know, is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it joy? Is it fear? Hate, resentment, something like that. And once you've identified it, you can take a moment, pause, and really begin to process why you're feeling that way. Um, if you're not in a situation where you're in a confrontation or whatever, you can take this moment and begin to process it. Um, one moment. Yeah. So you know, I was kind of breaking it down whenever I'm in this situation. Say it's sadness. Uh, what I would do is break it down into what I can do now and what I'm not able to do. Am I can I resolve this situation? Is this a situation that I I have to put on the back burner and wait and let time heal? Then in effort to navigate that emotion, uh, you're kind of pushing it away. That's how I deal with a lot of sad issues. You know, I kind of block them out of my mind because there's nothing I can do about it. And one day I can, but right now it serves no purpose for me to think about that thing and feel my heart drop out. That doesn't do me any good.
So true.
So what about you, John, as far as like say sadness goes? Something.
Sadness. That's a good one. I have a list of music. Sometimes, if I'm feeling sad, I will play a sad song or maybe a happy song to try and counterbalance my sadness a little bit. That's one thing I go to is music for sure. My girlfriend cheers me up. Uh, Thankfully, I still have my two parents. Sometimes I'll call them, feeling you know, a real depression or sadness. And I've gone through phases of depression. I don't really experience much depression in recent years, but I do come across sadness like every human, and disappointment sometimes.
Yeah.
Music, good food, healthy food, something maybe spicy or
Yeah, really
creamy.
shock you out of it,
Yeah,
right?
spicy or creaminess. You can get me happy with those two words.
You'd mentioned your family and having people that you can talk to. I think that's one of the best things that people can do in any one of these emotional situations is to confide in somebody else, express yourself, get it off your chest if you have to. Here's some of their input. That will almost always make some progress in our ability to deal with whatever that emotion or situation is.
If we fear that our family could go hungry, that emotion would drive us into hopefully an action
Yeah.
that would provide some food for them. Maybe it's making a call to a church and seeing if they might be able to help with a few groceries, or a call to a food or a visit to a food pantry where you can get a few items to feed your family. That fear helps your family receive good nutrition. It's there for a good reason. It's not there to make you feel like you're in a hole, to make you relapse on your troubled substance. Um, it's there for good reason. If the emotion is a more positive emotion like love or adoration, we're more inclined to be giving and affectionate. And just wanted to give that note on a more positive emotion. A lot of times we deal with the negative. That's what we need help with.
Yeah.
Few people, when they feel positive emotions, they don't think, "Well, I need help with this."
No.
But I just wanted to give that note on.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned taking action whenever, say, you're in fear that your family's not going to have enough food for this month. Taking that action, going and finding the food pantry, doing any step in a positive direction, that can immediately take away from that fear. A lot of these emotions, any sort of action, can help get you through it. Essentially, I mean, if it's not something like going to a food pantry, even something as little as getting up and exercising or going for a walk, or you know, something I do is I go on my electric bike and I go fast and I listen to music, and by the time I get back, you know, I feel quite a bit better. Uh, Hopefully it eliminates that rumination that's going on of just thinking about the same thing that is bringing me down. I think a lot of emotions kind of draw you into it, and it's up to us to sort of bat it away, you know, as it's coming in, be like, no, you know, I'm not going to let you get into my mind and take over the next hour. I'm going to be at peace because there's nothing I can do about you. So I might as well sit here and be happy.
I like how you're saying nothing I can do about you, because you're being objective. You're not being subjective and stuck in the feeling. You're saying this is a feeling that is not me. This is just something I feel, and I can
Yeah.
separate myself from that. I like that. I know when experiencing a negative emotion, I think a breathing practice might be
Yeah.
really helpful. One I learned at the VA hospital here in Arkansas is a breathing technique where you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and then out through your mouth for 8. And I practiced it for about 20 minutes yesterday, and I felt so much peace, and I felt this sense of just well-being. My brain was like flooded with oxygen. It felt great up here. So maybe that's something that might help you to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. And then
Absolutely.
that just gives you a second, a moment to like say, okay, I can think, I can do some deep breathing, and I can kind of get objective and see what's really going on here. And that's
Yeah.
just the key, instead of using words or actions, I think.
Right. I've got a series of breathing exercises that I used to do. It's something like 10 or 12 exercises that you would just go one in an order, and I would use them to help with courage or something that I was afraid of. You know, like if I was going to the boxing gym later, I knew I was going to get beat up. I already had butterflies in my stomach. You know, I was nervous about it. So I'd go through this series of exercises, and all of a sudden I feel empowered. And whenever you're doing these things, you have that mindfulness, that meditation. You're thinking encouraging thoughts, peaceful thoughts, productive thoughts. So I'm gonna make a video going through those exercises here, and we'll just have that uploaded as a separate thing at some point. And I'll show them to you before we do that. But yeah, I've done those for quite a long time.
That might be a really good short we could publish to YouTube on just quick breathing exercises to help you be calm and feel. Maybe I could work on that. Work on getting
this ends up being like a 20-minute type session like that. But I mean, it shakes any of those foul feelings that you can have, nervousness, anxiousness, all of that, you know. And I don't want to forget to mention medication, you know, as part of this. We all need to know that it's okay to go see a doctor if you're having ongoing sadness or anxiety or any of these kinds of things. Get some professional help. But what we're trying to discover here as a group is things that we can do on our own in the meantime.
I want the breathing exercises to do, all of them that you know how to do. That would be good for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll come over and do those today or tomorrow or just here in the near future. Yeah, I'd like to run through those and hear your input on it, and help me produce a better video. Maybe you'll be in the video.
I think it would help this woman, me, relax. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I need to learn how to relax. Okay. So I'm up for the breathing exercises. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm listening and I'm learning a lot. Keep talking, guys.
Well, me, you, and John we'll definitely run through those.
There's actually a fourth person now. Amber has joined us. Hi, Amber.
Hello, that is once again from my bathroom.
Yeah.
Good to see your bathroom again.
I only told you an hour ago that I was going to start my makeup, and
so Amber, we were talking about handling emotions, and we were just talking about sadness and perhaps depression. Are there some things that you do that help you through those down moments?
A lot of times, well, first off, let me say that I am seeing a psychiatrist and that I do take a lot of medication for PTSD, for anxiety, and for depression. So that helps immensely to be able to calm a lot of that stuff down. When I'm having an episode of anxiety, I do something that my daughter, she's on the autism scale, but she taught me this, and it's about the 5 senses. So you start off by finding 5 colors of the same color, and you try to make it difficult. So James, as I'm looking at your background, I would say not white or black, because that's way too easy. But I do see something red, and so then it makes you have to try and look for other details that would be red.
So you're trying to spot these in your environment?
Yes.
Say a color that's difficult, look for a specific small color. Okay, gotcha.
So number 4 is touch. What are different things that you can feel? Like, you can feel what your shirt feels like. You can feel what your headband feels like. You can feel what your necklace. Yep, there you go. And you can feel like what the headset that you have on feels like. That gives you a sense of feeling. The 3, 2, and 1 are a little bit harder to do. So you have to find 3 different things that you can identify as a smell, which, depending on your house, can depend on what you smell. Since I have a lot of cats, it's generally a cat box, which it's yuck. But I also love to wear good perfume, and having just gotten back from the cruise, which is why I haven't been here, guys. But I love smelling my perfume. That gets me out of that state. And then just the overall smell of wherever I'm at. Taste is something like if you, per se, haha, I dropped this. Yeah, have a cup of coffee. Okay. So I'm going to give you a sense of taste, and then find something else. I always suggest something to drink, like chamomile tea is really good and really relaxing. But you can also do like something to eat. You know, if you were to have some coffee and then have a juxtaposed to that of cheese. So
Wow.
it's going through your senses and focusing solely on those one things. And it is amazingly calming.
Yeah, I could see that. You run through all those, each of them kind of distracts you for a little bit. It hits you in a way other than just a thought, you know, like with the taste and with the smell. I mean, I didn't really think about that a lot, and that's wonderful input. You know, I have some beard balm that I like the smell of, you know.
Yeah.
It makes me feel different, you know. Um,
Well, you know,
uh,
that's good, because if you pay attention, yeah, I'm sure that you put that in every day. So I'm
yeah.
sure if you pay attention, you can smell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like when I got this rub out and put it on, I must have had some perfume on, or must have sprayed some perfume when I was wearing this last, because I was like, oh, this rub smells really good. Dang, what is that?
Yeah.
So, that's my experience with that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is my experience with anger,
Yeah. That's a good
because
one to.
anger is a hell of a thing to deal with.
Absolutely, it is, and it could get you into lots of legal trouble. It can be, you can destroy your family, cause terrible domestic issues. So yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up, Amber. Gee, that's important to
Yeah,
us.
that's a big one for me.
Um, I, I had to address this when I found out that I was pregnant with my first child, because um, going off of the typical stereotype, I am a redhead. I am extremely hot-tempered. Um, I grew up in a household where being short-tempered was considered not only okay, but expected. And then my household was very abusive. So I suffered at the hands of a lot of abuse from both my dad and my mother. And so when I found out that I was pregnant, I had to make a, a very clear decision in my head that I was not going to do the same things that my parents did, that I was not going to lose my temper that way, that I was not going to just jump to the first conclusion. And I wish I could say that I do that all the time. I don't, but I do it 99% of the time.
Oh,
And a lot of it is, if I don't know what to say to something and my first gut reaction is that I'm pissed, I just count backwards from 10 in my head. And that seems relatively dumb, but if you are paying attention to the numbers and you're counting backwards, it is shocking at how much you can calm down in 10 seconds and
yeah.
put together an adequate thought that says what you need to say, but not in a hateful way.
Yeah. I hope that, you know, I can take that moment whenever I do have a spell of anger, that I can stop even for long enough to say, hey, count, you know. 'cause a lot of times I feel like mine it goes, and then I'm not even, I'm not violent or anything like that, but it's like very military esque. I start knife handed, and you better square your shit away. Uh,
Yeah.
Elevated voice, and of course, saying mean things that I regret. And if they say anything back to me, then of course I'm going to say something clever and mean, and just outburn them, and I really wish that I could harness take the reins on that and have full control, slow that thing down before it gets out of whack.
Well, you're kind of going on my second point, James, about the 10 seconds is also a reminder to yourself that whatever you're upset about, unless it's an inanimate, try that in English, object, that person, whoever you're dealing with, whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, whether it's a friend, they're just like you. They have emotions. They take things that you may be getting off your chest, but you're putting that burden on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And understanding that, you don't always have to jump the gun on what you say, and that it is okay to lie to people to spare their feelings.
Yeah.
It's not okay to lie to them for most reasons, but if there are things that you need to mention, then mention them, but do it in a kind way, knowing that they have those feelings. So like I could say, well, John had hair like a week ago when I saw him, and now he doesn't. And I have my preference when I see John, which way I like to see him.
I think you've told me that preference before. You think I look better with a spot of hair on my head, don't you?
See, the only reason that I have a problem with it is because you got a full head of hair. You bastard. You better grow that stuff, and you better style it and appreciate it. Because
I'm gonna razor. I'm gonna get 2 razors. I'm gonna just get these little.
Start backing it on up a little.
So I can look cool like you.
That is a haircut for people like me with my problems. No, at least you wear a full head of hair buzzed still. Yeah, still that all shows. Good lines. Good
it was
lines.
actually at my girlfriend Alexis's request that I get a buzz cut. She didn't like the high and tight as much as she liked the buzz cut.
So I guess that kind of brings to another emotion, just briefly, but the sense of embarrassment. Whenever, I mean, obviously you guys know what embarrassment is.
Fall down on the sidewalk and I turn around and I look, did anybody see me? I'm so ashamed of my life.
Yeah. Luckily I think that's the easier one to get over, but it just occurred to me that is a whole other sensation that we kind of experience as an emotion. But yeah, back onto the anger. I had some notes down here that kind of relate to what you're saying. The think before you speak thing, the obvious old what do you call it? Old saying, think before you speak. But if I could do that, count back from 10, and then I could hit this second point that I had, which is once calm, express my concerns. And then when doing that, we also heard this other way of phrasing things that you put it in a sense of I statements, like I feel bad when you do that, instead of saying you're an asshole for doing that or whatever.
And also don't be afraid of saying, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because your feelings are justified as well. So you can do the I statements. That's very important. But you can also say, I'm sorry that you feel that way, because that is on them.
Yeah. Right.
Well, but you were talking about like a sense of embarrassment or whatnot. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a story that happened just this morning,
All right.
which I'm not proud about at all. But I was up in my office and doing some research on some things, and my husband had come in. And as we're sitting there talking, he goes, "Why do you have Crown Royal down there?" And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And I had forgot that before the cruise, I had bought some Crown Royal and put it up in my office, and had left it there and just
Yeah.
didn't think about it.
Uh,
And so he was super frustrated with me because why was I trying to hide that from him, was the way that he saw it. And I was more embarrassed about the fact that he had found it, that I had done something that I had promised him that I wouldn't do. And that can be heartbreaking when you get caught in those situations, especially when it's people that you genuinely care about and they're like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be doing this.
yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to be having your fifth dessert.
Mm.
You're not supposed to be having that meth. You're not supposed to be having that alcohol. You're not supposed to, you know, be trolling online to find sex partners, whatever it is." It hurts because it hurts them. And so to me, that's where a lot of embarrassment comes from. And
Sorry.
that you have to be truthful sometimes about what it is that you have done and own up to it and try to come up with a resolution with that person about how you cannot do that again.
Mm.
And that's all about communication. You've got to be able to talk.
Yeah. Hey, you kind of reminded me of a moment uh, that was embarrassing for me that was also kind of addiction related. Uh, we had when I was in my previous life with my ex-wife, we had a bottle of vodka in the in the freezer, and I'm not sure why, but I was hiding how much I was drinking, or something along those lines, and so I was adding water into it. Well,
Water to freeze.
yeah, then it froze, right? And my
Yeah.
wife pulls the thing up, is like, she knows what happened right away. And I was like, like, I've got a problem, so that embarrassment did kind of help steer my course a little bit in the future, all these small steps towards our recovery. And I'll take that lesson, that little bit of embarrassment to help me be better now.
I think
So another important thing that occurs to me often as far as anger goes, depending on how well I'm taking care of myself, if I'm letting bills stack up, if I'm not eating well, eating healthy, not taking care of my spirituality, my social circle, all these kinds of things, well, I can tend to be a little bit more on edge and easier to set off. Whereas if I had my business handled and I wasn't stressing out about some kind of debt or something like that, then I might not have responded with such aggression as I end up doing, as triggered by that stress that I already have built onto me. So if I can take care of myself better, have an even playing field, then I'm able to respond to each of those situations as a much more rational individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good that you bring up that you're taking care of yourself socially as well as physically, because you do need to ensure. I have a really bad habit that when I'm stressed out, I can't eat.
Oh yeah, I do that a little bit too.
As a mother, it sets a really bad precedent because, like, my kids will notice that I'm not eating, and they're just like, oh, well, what's going on, Mom? And I'm stressed to the point where I can't even say anything about it.
Yeah.
A lot of times that is over money, because who doesn't stress over money unless you're a freaking billionaire? But I I don't like trying to burden them with that. And I'm always trying to figure out in my head, like, okay, well, if I do this, if I pay this, if I don't pay this, and I'm doing this all in my head, and it creates a really bad cycle of things, because my husband asks me, he'll say, just tell me what's going on so that I'm cluing him in. And that's something with relationships I've never had before. This is my third marriage. So um, usually I would get my ass jumped for not communicating. And he is very much the opposite and is calm and mellow. And he's just like, hey, let's talk about this. So if in your relationship, they aren't the calm and mellow person, you do need to be,
Mm,
because that is the only way to combat a super emotional, high stress situation,
yeah.
is to be that calm person. With my first husband, um, it was funny because it started off the opposite. I was the super emotional person, he was the calm person. Towards the end, he was the super emotional one, and I was the calm one.
Uh-huh.
But I did see how it diffused a lot of situations, because there were pointed things that he would say to intentionally try to get me mad.
Yeah.
And if I did not respond and react to it, then it just lessened the amount of control he had over that.
Ah. Yeah. On another note of anger and resentment and keeping yourself on a level playing field, or a good level of playing field. Um, not holding on to grudges, finding forgiveness for people. A lot of these things, if you hold on to them, they only hurt yourself essentially. But also, if you're holding that grudge and then you're trying to have a conversation with somebody, automatically you're more prone to jump into saying something hurtful or trying to piss somebody off. From what I've found.
John, what do you do when you're pissed off?
Yell and scream at the person that's pissed me off. When I get pissed off, I get very defensive, and I'll use curse words sometimes. Last time it happened, I had to apologize later for what I said, and how I acted. That was about a month ago. Um, I thankfully I don't get too angry lately. Calling someone is almost always what I go to though. If I've got a situation, say my neighbor, somebody yelled at me or said something kind of cross, I might just text somebody and complain or vent, whatever term you want to use for it. I'll just
This
say, I can't
guy.
believe what my effing neighbor just said to me. No. I actually
uh,
have pretty good neighbors. I'm just using that as an example. But venting to a friend, calling a friend if it's so severe. And sometimes I have an emotional situation. It's not anger, but usually if I get frustrated, I will, James, if I can share, I'll walk to James' apartment and knock on his door, even if he's napping or I think he might be napping. I'll knock on his door and say, man, I just need to get away. I need you. Help me feel sane. Help me not feel
I'll,
so emotional. And he's like,
I'll
oh,
put
you're.
something ridiculous on YouTube for you.
I'll
Yeah.
go to a friend. I'll call a friend, video call, join a meeting.
Uh, another good thing to try to do in all these moments is try to find humor or something funny in it. Try to relieve the tension, especially if it's involving another person. But also, just for yourself, if you're feeling sad, do what you can to try to find something that would make you laugh. And I know that can seem like that it can seem like a difficult task whenever you are feeling that way, because it's the last thing you seem like you want to do. But if you can find it and really laugh through it, I mean, that can help with any of these things as well, as a distractor, you know.
It's on YouTube. You better bookmark that link to that funny video so you have it as a go-to.
Yeah.
I've got a few of those that come to mind right now. There's a video if you want to search for Batman on drugs. There's a funny clip of 1960s Batman on drugs.
That would cleanse my anger palette real quick.
Well, there's also another search that you can do for unnecessary censorship, and it does a lot of Disney movies, and it puts in bleeps where you don't need to have them, and it is absolutely hysterical what your mind comes up with, that you're like, oh, they could have said that right there.
Yeah. Unnecessary censorship.
Right now.
I'm gonna look that up.
Unnecessary censorship. Yeah. Going out to smoke a cigarette now because everybody is smoking. Bad influence on each other.
Oh.
We're working on other addictions.
Right. Other a little bit more important ones.
Yeah, I can't, like, I'm finding my brain has difficulty doing so many things at once. Like, I'm trying to write down unnecessary censorship, but I've just completely botched it.
UN.
I'm just gonna keep doing it wrong. I think I'll know what it is later. I spelled Centero ship.
Sensuality.
So close.
Okay, can I bring up another emotion?
Walmart is asking me about replacing some items or something like that. I don't know how to do it. Let's see.
You're getting food delivered?
Yeah, I'm trying it.
If you ignore it, I think they'll make their own decision.
Yeah, we'll let them do that. We'll see what happens. It'll be a grocery lottery.
They're gonna deliver your groceries. Can I bring up another emotion? Can we talk about this emotion? I think a lot of people, maybe watching our video on demand, might come here for social reasons because they feel lonely. And that's an emotion I'd like to talk about. Make sure we include in here. Loneliness, feelings of not having anybody. Obviously, if it's a Saturday, you might be able to join us, but maybe it's not. So what do we do if it's 2 in the morning? We're trying to not go to any substance, but we're so lonely, and that bottle seems like it might be our friend for a minute. What do we do when we feel lonely?
Yeah. I oscillate between two stances. One is that I would love companionship, to have a partner, all that goes with that. And then the other is being happy by myself, being independent that way. And I think it's important to do what you can to get yourself to where you are happy by yourself, and try to focus your efforts on that. For me, what starts to get difficult is whenever I'm entertaining the idea of a relationship with somebody. Emotionally, I get driven to all sorts of places that cause me anxiety, and actually kind of exaggerate that sense of loneliness. Like what, does this person not like me? Stuff of that nature. Loneliness is a difficult one to work with, because there's many phases of it, I guess.
There are a lot of different things that you can use. I love going to YouTube, and there are particular YouTubers that I search out. That I'm a white female, so of course I'm watching crime videos and crap like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I'm also very fortunate in that I have a couple of my friends who work third shift. And so I know that if I'm awake in the middle of the night, they probably are too, and I can talk to them. And then I have two other friends who live in Germany, and so their time frame is completely the opposite of ours. And just being able to talk to someone makes it to where I don't feel like I need to go find a bottle or anything.
Yeah.
Good.
A lot of times the way I cope with it is I try to get, again, it's like kind of the distraction nature. Like I try to get into a video game, if I, or a book, in anything like that. If I can draw my mind into something, eventually that feeling of loneliness will kind of pass, and I'll move through that. And then hopefully by the time I finish playing that game, I don't have that sensation over my head, around me, sense of loneliness.
Okay, so can we flip to the absolute opposite end and talk about being happy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, you can be happy for a lot of things. I'll tell you guys, I'm very happy to say that I refinanced my house, and my house is only in my name now. And that makes me extremely happy, extremely proud.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm so glad for your happiness and your success there.
But there are so many times that when we feel that we're happy, that we also feel guilty for being happy around other people who may not be. But happiness is contagious. It's something that I've worked in customer service for many years. I have been manager of many call centers. And when you come in with a positive attitude and you just, like, you've heard some upbeat music or you have something great that you want to share with everybody, it goes around, and it truly is something that can change someone's day. And
Yeah.
I read a story not too long back that a girlfriend was talking about her boyfriend and how she hated riding in the car with him because him as being the passenger, he waved at everybody. And it didn't matter who, he just waved.
What?
Finally,
I've been like
she
that
asked
before.
him one day why he was waving. And he goes, well, you never know what kind of a day that person is having. And maybe them seeing you smile and wave at them kind of changes their mood.
Yeah. Sending happiness out there in the world, affecting
Mhm.
somebody's day. That's, I love it whenever I feel jubilant enough that becomes natural. And on the note of happiness, being realizing moments when I'm happy and going like, wow, hey, this is good. Like I've been taking time to actually sit there and kind of swallow that good feeling, not swallow it in a bad way, but uh, absorb it. Enjoy the flavors of that happiness, like you would a good meal. And in a way, I think that helps prolong that, or at least helps me better identify how I'm currently feeling in an emotion, or which emotion I may be currently feeling.
So, James, what's the last thing that made you happy?
Shoot.
Jake is terribly
tough
depressed.
questions.
Well, I handled a lot of business today and yesterday, and I think I finally got my car. It's going to be shipped from New Hampshire down to
What?
here. I think I got that, so I'm pretty stoked. My
Nice.
car's going to be showing up in a few days.
Very
Uh,
cool.
Yeah. So that's a big one. Paid a lot of bills, all those things, so to take those stresses off. Another thing that kind of makes me happy as part of my routine. I start to look forward to things like I look forward to that lunch and then that nap afterwards. Listening to an audiobook, I get excited about that. I get happy about that. And so that's slated for later today. Uh, my animals make me happy a lot. I just found a cat recently, so he joined the club. But they're always there as a distraction, but also just the companionship of them help both give me happiness and help belay loneliness.
Hey, John, what made you happy recently?
Made me happy recently. So this morning I woke up and like money came off a hold. I'm like, yeah, I got money again. So I get on the internet and I'm like, oh, I'll take a carton of these and I'll take a Walmart order and let's just send a dollar over here. And I just start playing around with money. And it gives me, it's a slight addiction, money obsession and spending money. But what I like about it is once I spend it, I get that carton of cigarettes in the mail, takes care of my expenses for, and it's a carton of CBD cigarettes, by the way. And I plan, you asked me if I would leave you some. I'm going to send you a whole pack of them because I got a carton. Amber,
Okay.
and they're CBD and Delta 8 THC. So I'm excited and happy about reducing. I don't have a pack in my site, thank God, but reducing the tobacco consumption that I'm working on like 30 cigarettes per day. And
Oh, you got those at the
that's,
place right down the street from me, right?
that's right. They might have more. They're about.
Okay, so we'll just go and get some over there. Don't send me some.
Well, the problem is they don't have them in stock. I got the last pack, and then that guy never called me before I left town, so I had to order them on the internet. But if you can stop in there, they might have a pack for you.
Yeah, I know the guy who owns it, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, he's very cool.
Nice, yeah. So I'm excited about having a Walmart delivery order coming. Having a carton of CBD tobacco. No, not tobacco. CBD. I guess it's leaf. It's just like cannabis leaf that they have CBD and Delta 8 on.
Ah.
Hemp, yeah.
Hemp, thank you.
Yeah.
Hemp cigarettes.
I used to be an expert.
I used to be an expert on hemp.
So let me ask James and John both a question because I know you two probably the best. Now, since I asked you, tell me about something happy and you've thought about it and you've come up with something. How do you feel right now?
I'm smiling.
Really-
I'm smiling
really
big.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with y'all. It's so and
Yeah.
talking about fun stuff like what you got done, what you're taking care of. It does make me smile. Thanks for
Yeah.
asking how I feel right now.
Yeah.
That's something that we all need to get better at doing. And it's something that, especially when you're lonely, you're depressed, or you have anxiety, if you have someone that you can just randomly talk to, maybe someone that you don't talk to on a regular basis, but just call them up and be like, hey, what's something good that's happened lately that I've missed out on?
Mm-hmm.
You are, I have always been surprised at how quickly that will change my mood around.
Yeah.
I love hearing good things that happen to other people or what they're excited about. Certainly having a car shipped to you, that's worth being excited about. I get excited over my Walmart orders because that means that I didn't have to go to the store. Haha.
Right. And
So
you're
not to
about
leave you out,
goods.
what's something that's made you happy today, Amber?
Today has been my husband's support. That's been something that is very positive for me. And when I screw up, he's not negative towards me, so it makes my life a lot easier. What I am doing tonight is I'm going to what's called a white party, and so the theme is to dress in all white, and
Okay.
for like John, who knows me as the goth chick, when I was invited to this party, the gentleman who invited me said, although I don't know that you own anything that's white. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit harsh. And I was like, I just bought a white dress. It has skulls and hibiscus on it. So that's what I'm wearing tonight.
Well, that would be
Nice.
fun.
But I'm looking forward to going and seeing them and hanging out with them and the other people that are going to be there. And my husband is going with me. So it's just going to be a good time. So that's why I was doing my makeup. I might look more pale than I usually do, but that's to go with the white theme
Oh, I
Nice.
see. Yeah.
because, yeah, I'm pale AF.
Yeah, this light makes me look like I'm just pure white.
What, you're not?
No, I mean like right here.
I knew it was gonna come around.
I'm kind of red. If I get a good tan, it starts to turn a little green some reason. I don't know.
All right, gremlin.
Speaking of things that make you happy, somebody dropped a package at my door. I need to go see.
Packages make you happy.
I'll be right back.
Animals, my cats. I forgot to mention my cats. They make me very happy when they're, especially when they're cuddled up together. I saw them yesterday, like in a little cat pile, and I took about 10 pictures. I thought it was the cutest thing I've ever seen, and it just made me smile ear to ear, and I just nearly cried. My cats
Are
are
you ready
such
for this?
best friends. Uh-oh, what do we get?
Oh yeah, sharp shirt.
James bought a new shirt. Hey, that's a good looking
Uh-huh.
shirt, man.
Yeah.
And you definitely need to upgrade your wardrobe.
I know, man. It's got sleeves.
No, that's good, man. I like that you're ordering clothes that you want to prepare for the future. You want to look nice in the future, so you're doing something in the present.
Put on my Smell Good beard cream, put on a nice shirt, feel sharp, feel confident. I don't bring
There you
happiness.
go.
Bring happiness to others. Yeah. Yeah, it made me happy when you came by today, John.
You did?
We got to chill for a little bit. Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, and I knew you were processing something, and we just kind of got to kind of forget about that
We
a
did.
little bit. Just kind of
Distracted
hang out
me.
for a minute. Yeah.
Distracted me.
Had some coffee, all that good stuff, and that cheered me up as well.
I thought I was bothering you a little bit.
No, I just I had my underpants on, so I was like, I gotta let me get my pants on.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that courtesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a slightly emotional state earlier today. Not greatly, not overly, but it helped to just go talk to a friend and see somebody in person that isn't giving me trouble. Perhaps
Yeah.
or isn't not necessarily giving me trouble. It might have been the wrong way to say that, but isn't a part of my current trouble. James,
Yeah.
you only give me trouble on like when we're playing video games.
A lot of trouble. I'm just whipping on you, John.
Nice work today, John.
Yeah.
Any other emotions or handling emotions? I'm looking for any other. Medication was really good, and seeing it. If you have overwhelming emotion, maybe some medication could be something that could benefit you too. Like I think if I can speak for the three of us, I think I know that we all take at least one medicine. Maybe it's just as easy as an ibuprofen, but something that helps us with our bodies and minds. I'm not
Yes.
on notes, but I'm happy to talk about anything else you guys want to talk about emotions.
There's another thing that we can do. We've talked about it kind of before in other videos, but you can write it down.
Yes.
You can even write a letter to that emotion if you're feeling angry. Dear anger, what are we doing here? Why are you so upset? What's really bothering you? What can you do about it? Do you want to feel this way? Should you forgive? Should you do something else? I think that's a pretty good way that I've never done before.
Yeah.
But
get out the journal. If you're listening, you don't have a journal, leave a comment or something. We're gonna find you a journal.
yeah, I'm a journal. It's on me.
Oh my gosh. There are
Up
all
to 10
kinds of
people.
Yeah.
We talked
All
about
right.
we want to give away journals to people on our once we have a developed website. We want to give away journals on our website as like appreciation sort of gifts. Like we find these little $6 journals on Amazon. They don't cost very much money, and we feel like, but I mean, if you need a journal, you generally don't have money to pay for it. I will buy you a journal. Just contact me on the internet somehow. At the email address, maybe helpwithAddictionCoaching@gmail.com, and I'll personally get you a journal. Because like James said, it just helps to get your stuff outside of your body, outside of your brain, down onto some paper, where you can review it later and come back and say, oh, this really made me upset. I wrote a paragraph about this upset. And it becomes helpful information. So yeah, great suggestion, James.
And then also everyone could take a note and realize that emotions are a normal thing. You have that moment, be like, I'm a human. I'm supposed to experience this to some degree. Like you talked about in the beginning, it's in our genes. It's a protective mechanism and many other things. And just kind of not beat yourself up about it. And then whenever you have some good areas, remember to remember your successes. Not beat yourself up. Remember the good things. Try to work through it. Be positive. I think that's just a general good rule guide, something like that.
I'm going to jump back to the whole journaling thing because that's something that I've done for many, many years. I, in fact, have an entire tote in my basement that's full of journals from way back when I was a teenager. And sometimes I write them out specifically to certain people. Like I have one that I'm doing right now that I've named Damn It Dave after my first husband. Because he would find himself in the most unbelievable situations. And the only thing that I could think to say was, damn it, Dave. And then his reaction was always, well, what had happened was.
Oh, yeah.
So there was always a backstory to what was going on. Oh, yes, oy vey. There was always a backstory to it, and they're funny things, but it's also allowed me to kind of go through a lot of emotions. For anybody who is not aware, that is the father of my children that committed suicide in 2016. So there's a lot of things that I never got to say to him and questions that I will never have answered. But I can write those down, and it does help me feel a lot better. And sometimes I work to my own answers through writing it down.
Yeah. Yeah, visually process it.
Yeah,
it's great.
It is a matter of processing it. So I guess that's a different emotion that we all also deal with is grief. Because whether it is a family member, a pet, friend, we all lose someone. And that can trigger bad reactions in us as well. You get, like, if it's someone really close to you, I will flat out admit when I found out that Dave had committed suicide, my drinking got out of control. And I mean, out of control. Because I was trying so hard to self-medicate and put myself in what I thought was a better headspace. And then looking back on it now, I'm like, I'm so embarrassed about all of that. I'm like, why did I do that? Why didn't I just go see the therapist and the psychiatrist? And I know that that's not easily available for a lot of people. The town that I live in, it took 6 months before I got into a psychiatrist.
Yeah. It's kind of the same way with the VA.
Yeah, but
there's always somebody you can call with us. Yeah.
But once you get in to see and talk to someone, and I especially recommend that when we're talking about medications, because primary care physicians are absolutely awesome, but they have to know about a lot of different medications for a lot of different things. And so treating your bronchitis is completely different than treating your depression.
Yeah.
So whereas if you were to go see a therapist, it goes a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. A psychiatrist has the MD.
Okay. Yeah, they're the ones that give the meds.
Yeah, those are the ones who give the meds, and they're often the hardest to find.
Yeah.
But even if you go to a therapist and you are talking to them about what medication you're taking, they can give you a recommendation to refer back to your primary care physician and say, you know what, my therapist has recommended that I stop taking this, that I start taking this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recently, over the last few years, experienced a similar thing when my wife and kids left. Grief took over, and as part of that, drinking completely dominated my entire day. Anything to do to hide from those feelings was my recourse, and I wish that I'd sought help a little better, a little more thoroughly, that I tried different things other than drinking at that time. I mean, it's good because in one way, I went through that experience, and now as a sober person, I get to reflect on that and know kind of where I went wrong with that. I mean, even at the time, I knew it was wrong. But I could probably be in a totally different situation now. If I responded differently, I could probably be seeing my kids. I could probably have some kind of interaction with them. Whereas me drinking for 2 years straight, that's not the person that I wanted to try to get around my kids. I wasn't in the state of being that would be a good thing. I had to come through that on the other side. But grief is a hell of a thing, for sure. That must be one of the hardest ones to deal with, because it's like there's not a lot you can do about it. Time is one of those things that sort of has to pass to help heal that. I hope to do better in future situations with that.
And there are a lot of different things that can bring on grief, just like you saying that, with your wife and your kids leaving, it brings on a level of grief. I jokingly call it the suicide club. But I have told everybody I never, ever want one of my friends to be a part of this club. This is one club that I get that, and losing a child. It's just two things that I would never want anybody to have to experience. But it is something that one of my in-law kind of cousins, I guess is the best way to explain her. Her husband committed suicide just within the past year. And she, like me, has multiple children and was left with no answers. And she didn't know why he did what he did. And so she is going through a lot of the same things that I went through. And I'm trying to help her and give her some guidance and some feedback of, I understand what you're going through. I understand how this is, instead of just saying, oh, well, I'm so sorry. Because it's nice for people to say, I'm so sorry to hear about that. It's something completely different when you find someone who says, you know what? I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So I'm never ashamed or afraid to tell people that I suffer from PTSD, that I suffer from anxiety, that I suffer from depression. I will talk your ear off about it, as I do a lot on this channel. But I will talk about it because it's something that if I am willing to show you that this is my own problem, my own fears, then hopefully that's something that you can relate to and that you can then feel more open and talking with me about.
Absolutely.
I feel like the one of the first things that I do whenever I meet somebody is like, hey, I'm an alcoholic. Also, I take all these pills for anxiety, depression, and my whole body hurts. Just so you know, it's like that's my intro speech, and then hopefully we can keep talking after that.
Hopefully we can keep talking. You want to go on a date?
Yeah, now that you know everything about me, did I meet your standards, right?
It's good to talk about mental health, but the television and the movies stigmatize some mental health categories, and the criminal on some of those crime shows is often poor temperament, maybe a little schizophrenia or something like that on the drama, on the fiction television, but that informs the public mentality to such a great degree that we get scared of the word schizophrenia. I say we, not this club, but American society. When you hear the word schizophrenia, like, oh, is he about to pull a gun at a school, or is he going to go crazy in a Target? I don't want to be around somebody that has schizophrenia because I hear about them on the news and on the movies. And it's just such a shame that we don't have more open conversation with strangers about
I
what we
love
go through.
I love that you brought that up because I have a really good friend. He copes with schizophrenia, and he's also coincidentally one of the most even-keeled people that I've ever known. I've never seen him angry at somebody. I've never seen him raise his voice. I actually talked to him about how he deals with these emotions prior to our meeting here. So no matter what somebody's issue is, we're all still remarkable people with great potential. I don't really know where I was going, but he's a special person, and I hate the idea that if he meets somebody in the first 5 minutes, he's like, oh, by the way, I'm schizophrenic. They're like, whoa, it's unfortunate because they would miss out on knowing one of the kindest, sweetest people that is I've ever encountered on this earth.
Yes. With mental health disorders doesn't mean they can't be awesome people, and I'm not saying that if you don't feel awesome, everybody's special. But my gosh, you might be
We're all
missing
special.
out if you're shutting down people when they tell you they have mental illness. You're missing out on some good people. I put myself into that category, but
You're probably missing out on some really fun people too, because everybody that I've enjoyed their company does have some type of a mental illness to varying degrees. And to me, they're the most fascinating people because they always have something to talk about. Whereas my sister, who I'm now estranged from, but she is what you would just call a blank sheet of paper. Like, she does not have one emotion towards something one way or the other. She doesn't have anything that she struggles with. She just goes through life. And I'm like, what is that like to like sit there and just genuinely not think of anything? Because that seems so foreign to me.
Yeah.
So, so to me, what I'm saying is, I love people who have mental illnesses because they're awesome. They're fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
oh, thank you.
And on the note of us being special, as humans, it's like we do have this incredible world around us, this the universe, down to the smallest thing. This is really a magical experience that we all get to go through, and having the privilege to be able to feel all of these emotions is really a wonderful thing, although it may seem hard at times for some of them. But we're lucky. We're fortunate that we get to be special.
You guys keep saying that, and I'm sorry, I have to throw in there from The Incredibles dash going, which is another way of saying that nobody's special.
There are some people that are less special.
In my house, that's what we do. Is we always tend to find something with a Disney quote, and yeah, you guys keep saying, "Oh, yeah, you're special. I'm special," and couldn't help that one. Sorry, but y'all laughed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, I think it's probably a good time to close the meeting. I appreciate your input, Amber. John, did you have something to add?
I just wanted to check and see if anybody on the live chat had any questions, and nobody left any questions for us. So,
Okay.
well, thanks for coming to this meeting, guys.
Yeah, I had a good time, and the rest of my day is going to be good. And I think we're going to play some video games over the phone here in a little bit.
Yeah, we're due for video games. You're gonna do all the carrot planting, and I'm
gonna plant some carrots, baby.
I'm gonna watch.
No, just on a small little diatribe. Yesterday, whenever we were doing that, I was like, kind of had at a moment of uneasiness. And I was like, do I feel like playing? I was like, man, fuck it, just go grab the hoe and start planting carrots. And then I went down there. I forgot that I wasn't before I might not have been in a fun moment. Dude, you are so bright white right now. You look like an alien.
Go back inside, take my alien ass inside. So you weren't sure if you were gonna enjoy playing video games, and then you got into the task in the game. Now it's dark as fuck.
Then all of a sudden I'm having fun. So just do something, find our happiness. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks, y'all. See you YouTube. See you Facebook.